Hi, I'm Mark, and in this lesson we're going to look at 3 different licks from the solo from Another Brick in the Wall Part 2, and I'll show you the licks, teach you how to play them, but also look at what we can learn from those and what we can take from Dave Gilmour's playing in order to build into our own playing, particularly if we're going to be playing blues and kind of blues rock stuff. So the way the video is going to work, I'll play the licks, I'll show you them one by one nice and slow and how you can take ideas from them, put them into your own music, your own solos, and then finally I'll show you all the licks really slow, note by note, so you can learn them for yourself. I'll put tab on screen, that kind of thing. You'll notice there's no backing track with this particular lesson. I'm not going to play through the whole solo or anything like that. Recently I've had some copyright claim on my channel, so I'm being a bit cautious of not playing over the backing track or anything, but if you want to listen to it, why would you want to hear me play it anyway? Go and listen to the original, it's way better than I can play it. But what I want to do with this lesson is just take what we can learn from these 3 particular licks. These are my 3 favourite licks from that solo, what we can learn from that to influence our own playing. Okay, and then finally, right at the end of the video, I want to look at a little rhythm pattern he plays as well, because that's really cool and you can use that in your own playing as well. So the first thing I'll do is I'll play you the 3 licks one by one. You'll recognise them from the solo if you know the solo reasonably well. So I'll play them and I'll play them with all the effects on and everything else, and then we'll start pulling them apart. Okay, so here's lick number 1. Okay, so that was lick number 1. Lick number 2 now goes like this. Okay, and then finally lick number 3, and that one goes like this. So that was all 3 licks. What I'll do now is I'll switch all the effects off, and then I'll show you the licks actually one by one slowly and talk about them, and then we'll go through them note by note. Okay, so all the effects are off now. Lick 1 goes like this. I'll do this one nice and slow. Okay, so the cool thing about this lick is that this comes in right at the start of the solo, and actually this is the whole lick that kind of inspired me to do this lesson, because this isn't just my favourite lick in that solo, it's not just my favourite Pink Floyd lick, it's probably my favourite lick ever. I just think it sounds amazing, and what makes it great is that the solo, which is, the whole song's in D minor, so we've got this thing going on. Okay, and then when he comes in for the solo, obviously the first big note of the solo is going to be a D. So he's going for that, obviously he's got all the effects and everything going on. But what he does is, that note that he ends this particular lick on, that's the first beat of the first bar of the solo. And all the other little notes leading up to this are just kind of passing notes in a little run to get up there to start the solo. And that's an idea that you can take and use in your own playing. So you might be playing like a blues. Let's take a blues in D. We're going to come out of the previous 12 bar, and then we're going to go into the solo. So what you would normally do is kind of like this kind of thing. So okay, so you're going to start that note on the first beat of the solo, but in order to make it more interesting, instead of just playing that note, you're going to play a little run up. So that's kind of what he's doing. So a similar thing in blues would be kind of like this. Okay, that's like a really super simplified example of what I'm talking about. Actually, that's a lick taken from the video I did the last lesson, which was called something like ridiculously easy blues licks. But it's that idea that instead of just coming in with that note, that D note on the start of the solo, you're going to take a little run into it. So you might take a run into it like this. Okay, which is kind of like the second half of what he's doing, but he's building on it even further and playing this as the lick. Okay, the bending might have been a little bit out there. Hard to do when you're kind of just doing it slow. But that's the idea, so that instead of just coming in on the solo and playing the big first note of the solo, you're actually taking a little run up to it. So that's where I would take from that lick. That's why I think that lick's so cool. It's just that little nice little run up to it, so that you land that big note on the first beat of the solo, and everything else is just kind of like that run up. Okay, lick number 2 then goes like this. Okay, sounds a little different without all the effects on, but it's still a cool sounding lick. And what he's doing there, I'll do it nice and slow. Okay, so if you imagine D minor pentatonic here. That D minor pentatonic shape that we all know and love right there. What he's doing is he's pulling these notes and then playing this little double stop. This is G string and B string together. Okay, and that idea of just putting in a little rhythmic figure with those double stops, that's a really cool thing to do in the middle of a solo. So you might be playing, as he's doing, he's just coming out of playing like the really big bend, and then he plays this lick, and it's just that kind of like keeping that rhythm going. So we've gone from kind of intricate solo, intricate like single note idea to just getting that kind of rhythm going. And then he goes back into another big bend. So adding just that little bit of rhythmic playing into, let's say your blues or wherever you're playing in the middle of a solo, just to kind of keep that rhythm pumping along, is great. In fact, one of the best things about this solo is there's always a constant sense of where the beat is when he plays, and in fact you're going to hear that even more so in the next lick. So that idea of those double stops and those little rhythm figures to keep the rhythm going during a solo. If you listen to like Stevie Ray Vaughan, he did that all the time, loads of those kind of little things. Jimi Hendrix, sometimes it's kind of hard to see where Jimmy's rhythm playing stopped and his solo playing started. So he does that. So just having that ability to throw in a few little rhythm chops into your solo is a great idea to kind of take from this. And it's good. I mean, he's not playing like the whole chord, he's just pulling out double stops to just keep that rhythm pulsing. Really cool. Okay, the third lick, and certainly the most complex in this piece, I'll try and do it slowly now, and it will go like this. Okay, and this lick, when you look at it, all he's doing is he's running. There's several things to take from this lick that make it like really great. The first thing is he's just running down a D minor pentatonic scale, but instead of doing the way we'd all just run down a D minor pentatonic scale like this, he's actually making it way more interesting. I mean, that's probably in his mind. That's kind of how he's thinking. He's in the middle of a solo and he's just thinking, run down a D minor pentatonic. But he's making it way more interesting by not just playing, well, several things. First of all, he's playing like a little bit of a sequence. So he's kind of backing up, and he's not just playing note after note after note in a constantly descending. He's kind of go descend a little ascend, descend a little ascend, descend a little ascend. So you get this like little sequence thing going on. That's the first thing. The second thing is the rhythm is really interesting, because what he's doing is he's not just playing bump, 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 and all the notes kind of regulate. He's got this pattern going on. So, okay, so I've kind of simplified the lick a little bit there, but just emphasising those notes. So he's playing like ba-da-da, 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 and he's kind of playing that. So he's not just playing bump, 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 bump with all the notes, so they're equally spaced. He's playing this little rhythm. And then to emphasise, this is the third thing really, to emphasise that pattern even more, what he's doing is he's emphasising the first note. So you'll notice the note on the beat is always louder than the other notes. So he's doing this kind of thing. Okay, I realised I just played the lick completely wrong. I was kind of emphasising the same point though. You can build that into your own playing by just hitting that first note harder. So you're playing like just descending a minor pentatonic and using like a little sequence, but hitting the first note or the note on the beat harder to kind of emphasize that, and that's how he kind of gets that feel of that groove. Because when you listen to that lick, it's got so much groove in it. It's like, even like without any of the backing music or anything else going on, you can feel where the rhythm is. So if you wanted to take that idea into your own playing, first thing to do is take the idea of just walking down a pentatonic scale, but don't just walk down in a straight line, kind of do that backwards and forwards thing. So if we just went down in like, say, threes, so you go down 3 notes, back a note, down 3 notes, back a note, down 3 notes, you get this kind of thing. Okay, so that's a little idea. That's not what he's doing though, but that's kind of built into that idea of kind of going backwards and forwards. Then we'll do is we'll take that idea, but then add kind of like a nice rhythm pattern to it. Ba-da-da, ba-da-da. So let's do that. Okay, so you can do something like that. So you're taking that idea of just going kind of descending in using like a sequence, but adding a rhythm to it, and that idea as well of hitting the first note of the bar, or rather the beat, keeping the beat going, hitting the beat stronger. So try that with some of your own playing. Try and figure out ways of descending or ascending a pentatonic lick, a pentatonic scale, but doing it in a way that sounds rhythmic, emphasizes the beat, and doesn't just move in a straight line. And if you can work that in, you can probably come up with like an absolutely ton of your own licks that sound really cool. And all you're doing is just moving up and down a pentatonic shape, but it sounds a lot more musical and a lot more interesting. Okay, so those are the 3 licks. That's what I take from them and how I play them, and how I would then build them into my own music and stuff, and you know, what I learn from them. So what I'll do now is I'll teach you the licks one by one, really slowly, note by note. So lick 1 starts with a pull off 13 to 10 on the B string. Then we're playing 12 on the G, back to 10 on the B. And then what we're doing is taking 12, bending it all the way up to 14, hitting 10 and 10 on the B and E string, respectively. So that up to now we've got this, and then what he does is he grabs 13 on the B string and bends it up a whole tone to 15. So that's where that D note is, and that's the note you've got to land on the beat of the start of the solo. So far we've got this. And then what he does is he's grabbing 10th fret on the B and G string and playing just like a little rhythm figure to end it. Okay, so that's lick 1, that's how you play that. Lick 2 is the easiest out of these. We're playing 10 on the G and B string, we're hitting that twice, and then playing 12 on the D string. So that goes like this, and then we do that again. And then we're playing 10 on the G and B to 12 on the G and B, back to 10 on the G and B, and then slide off. So, and the other thing is, when you play this, try not to make it sound as stiff as I just made it. You're not playing like this. You're not playing it like that. Try and get kind of more like a strumming pattern. In fact, when I'm playing it, I'm noticing what I'm doing is this D note, which is 12th fret D string, I'm actually hitting that on the upstroke, because my hand's kind of just playing as if it was playing like just like a chord strumming pattern. Okay, so that's lick 2. Lick 3 is the hardest one now. It's quite a long lick. I'm going to take it in 3 parts. Okay, so part 1 goes like this. Okay, so that's the first kind of portion of it. We start by taking 12 on the G string, bending it up a whole tone, and then grabbing 10, and then 10 on the B and E strings respectively. So far we've got this. So you should notice that that's just pulled. That's the same little phrase we played as part of lick 1. Then what we're doing is we're taking 13 pull off to 10 on the B string before playing 12 on the G. So far we've got this. Okay, and then he plays this really cool thing where he pre-bends up a whole tone on the G string of the 12th fret, so it's an A note, so it's the equivalent of that 14th fret there. And what he does is he hits it and immediately releases to 12. So you get this. Okay? Now it's really important when you play the lick, you don't catch it going on the way up because it's just going to sound wrong. If you catch it on the way up, you get this. And it just sounds like, ugh, that's not right. So what you want is this. Okay? So, having brought this 14 down to 12 here, what we're going to play is 10 here on the G string, and then what we do is we play 12 again on the G, 10 on the G, to 12 on the D string, then back to 10 on the G, to 12 on the D. So that little section, nice and slow, goes like this. Okay, you with me? Okay, so far the whole thing, and so this is lick 3A, we get this. And up to speed. Okay, and that's a nice little lick in itself. You can take that and use that in a blues or a blues rock like loads. That's really cool. It's nice. So then what he does is immediately after that, what we're doing is 12th fret on the G and D together, and then off to 10 on the on those strings. Okay. Okay, and I think I'm doing that as a pull off. I don't know whether he's picking it or pulling off. I'm not sure. So, having done the double stop of D and G string 12 to 10, what he then does is he does this little thing. Okay, so we're on the A string, 12 to 10, 12 to 10 to 8. Okay, so lick 3B together. Okay, so having played lick 3B, he's now going to play lick 3C, what I'm calling lick 3C, on the E and B string, the E and A string, and it's this little figure that goes like this. Okay, and what he's doing is, and again you'll notice he's just got that groove, he's got that rhythm in the playing, so you can even hear where the beat is even when I'm playing it now, hopefully. Okay, so what we've got is 10 to 8 on the A string, and I think I'm doing that as a pull off, to 10 on the E. Okay, and then 8 on the E to 10 on the E, and you're going to hold that and shake it. Okay, so that part. Okay, and then he's going to play 8 on the A string, 10 on the E string, 8 on the E string to 10 on the E string. Okay, so lick 3C. Okay, so that's all three parts. I'll put it together nice and slow, it goes like this. Okay, so that was all three licks, so you should know how to play them now. It took me, particularly that third one, that was a little bit tricky, kind of remembering all those bits. Anyway, one last thing I want to leave you with before we end the video is a little rhythm idea that he does where you'll recognise it straight away. He's doing this. Okay, not sure that last chord was quite in tune, but you get the idea. So, there's something really cool to learn from this. First of all, before we get into that, just let's have a look at the chords of the song. The whole song is, the verse is just a D minor to a G. So you've got this figure for a D minor. Okay, so you got that, and that basically goes on for quite a bit in the verse. And then a little towards the end of the verse, you then get this. You get that kind of thing going on. Okay, and then he goes back to the D minor here. And that's then when he plays this little run. And what he's doing is he's using this little run to go from the verse, which is D minor, into this F chord, where the chorus is. Okay, so in order to get from this D minor where he is, he puts in this nice little rhythm run that goes like this. Okay, anyway, so what we're doing here is, and the interesting thing with all of the rhythm that he plays in the song is he's playing mainly just the top 3 strings. So even when he's on that D, I mean, I might be catching the D string occasionally, but generally it's all concentrating on the G, B and top E strings. That's really important because if you're playing in a band like Pink Floyd, where you've got like, I don't know, several guitar players, bass player, drummer, probably several keyboard parts, backing vocals, lead vocals and all those kind of things, you've got this absolutely dense mix. What he's doing is, instead of playing like a really big chord, so if you play like your D minor like this, okay, in isolation, that sounds nicer than playing, which sounds like really thin. But if you're in like that big band set and then you play the full 6-string chord, it's not going to cut through the mix, you're not going to hear it. So, and if you just turn it up loud, you're just going to get mush and it's going to sound horrible. So what he's doing is, he's tailoring his rhythm part so that it fits within the context of the song and the context of the overall mix. So that's a nice trick if you play in a band, and particularly if you play with other guitar players, keyboard players, that kind of thing. Cutting your rhythm part down so that it's just those top strings. That's a really nice way to help you then cut through in the mix. So what he's doing is he's taking that idea of playing the top 3 strings. And if you imagine playing like the chords D minor, C, back to D minor, back to C, to a G. I mean, I don't even, if you're going to finger the whole chord, it'd be like that. F. But instead of doing it and like playing all strings, he's just playing the top. So the way I'm thinking of this is, that's the top part of a D minor, that's the top part of a C, then you've got this G here, F there, and all we're doing is playing the top strings. Anyway, so that's what he's doing. And what I'd take from that into my kind of own playing is just adding those like little rhythm runs to go from one part of the song to the next. So he's playing that from going from the verse into the chorus, and it just kind of pops out and sounds great. Actual notes we're playing are 10th fret, top 3, well, all of these are top 3 strings. So you go 10th fret, and then we're playing 9 on the G string, 8 on the other 2. And then back to 10th fret, where we're going to hit it twice. Or is that 3? Is that classed as 3? Down, up, down. And then we're going to play twice, playing the C pattern again, which is the 9 and the 8 and 8. And then we're going to play this G here, which is going from the G string to the E string, is, where are we, 7, 8, 7. Which, if you imagine, is that D chord there. So we all know and love that D chord. If you move that all the way up to just there, and you only play the top 3 strings, that's a G chord. So he's going from a D to a C, back to a D to a C, and then a G, and then an F by just dropping that G shape down, and then an F there. Okay, and I think my nut's a little high, which is why that F chord sounds a little out. Anyway, that's it. So that's this kind of like little extra bonus lesson I've done while I've been off over the Christmas period. Thank you to everybody who's been supporting me. If you like this, hit like. If you want more videos in this style, let me know. I just thought I'd try out something a bit different than the usual regular lessons, because I just love that solo. Anyway, I'll see you again.